I have been here for just about 2 years now. And for my position, I oversee 4 different departments, which we call pods here, which is independent living, healthy living, social emotional, and then the activities department as well. For those of you that got to see their awesome presentation yesterday, I am part of that team as well in conjunction with Gretchen Griggs. Why don't I pass it over to Chrissy Cleveland.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Cleveland. I'm the Assessment and Accountability Program Manager here. And I have been, this is my 15th school year at MICC. I've worn many hats, but my hat right now is mainly systems and in supporting staff with collecting data, medication management, and just our overall database. And Katie, I don't know who you'd like us to go to next.
Let's hand it off to Healthy Living.
Hi, my name is Jake Archbold. This is my 5th school year. I'm working with the Healthy Living Pod as a Healthy Living instructor, and I teach primarily holistic health, apartment teaching, and this semester I'll be doing senior apartment checks, the health and safety checks. I'll pass it to Franny.
Hello, I'm Franny Ziegler. I'm a Healthy Living instructor here. I've been at MICC for about 2.5 years now. I teach Healthy Living classes. This semester I'll be focusing on Holistic Health Capstone, Exercise for Life Capstone with the seniors, and then also lots of apartment classes. And I'll pass it to Lauren.
Hello, my name is Lauren Gunnis. I've been with MICC's Healthy Living team for 14 months now, teaching apartment and exercise classes, as well as holistic health. Pass it on to ILS squad.
All right, my name is Jennifer Carlson. I have been with MICC for about 1.5 years or so. My position is an independent living skills instructor. So my classes are apartment teaching, personal finance, transportation. I will pass it off to Natalie Finch.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Finch. I am an ILS instructor here at MICC, and I have been here for 1 year and some change now. I primarily teach transportation classes, specifically for our freshman group, and budgeting banking as well for our freshman group, as well as some apartment teaching classes for freshmen and juniors. And I'll pass it off to Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Coles. I've been at MICC for around a month. I'm brand new. I am the independent living skill instructor. This semester I will be teaching Rentwise, personal finance capstone, apartment teaching, and grocery shopping. I'll pass it off to social emotional learning.
Hello, everybody. My name is Allie McGuire. I am an instructor on the social emotional team. My counterpart, Jen, will not be able to join us today, but she has been with MICC for about 9 years. I have been with MICC for just shy of 1.5 years. And the classes that we specifically work on are social emotional. So my focus this semester is our MER classes with both freshmen and juniors, our seminar classes with freshmen, juniors, and seniors. And new for our senior group this year is an SEL capstone that we're really excited to be rolling out. So that's what I do.
Wonderful. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. And as a reminder, as the presentation is going on, if you have questions that you're thinking of, please feel free to put them in the chat. And again, following the presentation, we'll open it up so you can ask questions of the team. So with that, I will start sharing my screen and I'll hand it off to Erin Willis to get us started.
Awesome, thank you, Katie. So kind of high level for my position is really looking at the different curriculum models that should be used that tie into instruction, that not only are research based, but a big portion of that is what works well for individuals with autism and other learning differences. So The first model that we talk a lot about is a spiral curriculum model. I like to describe this as, the very bottom of the spiral is when we're doing our initial assessments with students, and then we try to introduce the other topics. So as they progress through our program, not necessarily year by year, but just as they progress, we work on some of those same skills, but just as a new level. One of my favorite examples is transportation. We start very basic, getting to know your community, navigating your community, and then we tie that into our first bus trips. And as students get more comfortable on the bus, we tie that in once again to other transfers or more navigation. So we look at core skills and how we build our students' skills in those different areas. And with the image you guys see, when it comes to mastery, I do just want to point out that it really is an individual. We do not have a standard for mastery here at MICC. Mastery is defined by the level that the students would like to raise themselves to and where we can support them to. So we do not define mastery within our models. We just support students getting to the highest level of independence that they choose. The next kind of core model, can you jump back one, Katie? The next core model, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it later, is going to be prompt fading. This relates really well to our apartments, but the theory behind prompt fading is really starting with a physical. I like to use the example of how to teach someone to unlock a door. Physical would be you guide their hand to unlock a door. Modeling is showing them how. Visual would be different methods of visual prompting. Gestures is what I'm doing with my hands while I talk, showing them a gesture, how to unlock the door. And then verbal would just be prompting them to unlock the door from there. Next slide, Katie. Thank you. For the instructional models, so the curriculum models were kind of higher level. Then we moved down to 2 instructional models that are the foundation of the education program here at MICC. The first one we think about is immersive. So just by students coming into our environment, coming on campus, making those awesome decisions to take part in our program, they're already learning. So needing to take care of your own space, the social dynamics that happen within those spaces, each student having their personal choices, that is part of the immersive process. We then consider our courses and the guidance that students receive as really a secondary and being in a highly experiential process. And the easy way to break that down is it's a reflection on doing. So an event occurs, we offer guidance around that event. This could be structured in a class, or this can just be the day-to-day guidance that they receive. And then helping students reflect on that, that occurrence, reflecting on that event that happened, whether a positive or a negative. We want to add that active reflection in, not only to our classroom environment, but just their experiences at MICC.
Alrighty, first up we have social emotional learning. Like I said earlier, again, my name is Allie McGuire and Jen is the partner I have in our pod here. Go ahead, next slide, Katie, thank you. So a lot of our social emotional curriculum is based off of this KASL model here. And so what is the KASL model? It's a framework for systemic social and emotional learning. It was developed by KASL, which is a nonprofit that aims to make evidence-based SEL an integral part of education. And it focuses on how to promote interpersonal, and cognitive competence in many ways across many settings. So when we're looking at our social emotional classes, and when we're looking at how we assess and our competencies for social emotional, a lot of them can be found within this KASL model here. We don't use the KASL model specifically, but we do use it for, what's the word I'm looking for? We use it as a good building block. So things that we're working on with social emotional are relationship skills. Those are really highlighted in our MER classes. along with social awareness, self-awareness, self-management, and responsible decision-making. Just like Erin said, we do a lot of re-going over a lot of our competencies and areas of focus. So freshman year, I'm thinking of MER classes specifically, we have how to make a friend. What does that look like? And then moving on to junior year, we are accessing the same topic of friendship, but we're building on that initial skill as, okay, I have this friend, now how do I continue to grow that friendship? And then moving into your senior year, really focusing on continuing to build those friendships and build those relationships without as much staff support. Staff are still going to be there to support if need be, but we're really looking for seniors to build on those skills and work on their independence while they have that built-in support here on campus. And then those outer rings there just look at different ways and areas to practice all of these different skills. So in classrooms is what we really focus on here when it comes to our more traditional classroom-based. But in our social emotional pod, we are also the ones who run all of our apartment circles. So a lot of real-time working through that self-management, self-awareness, social awareness within individual apartments and helping students problem solve and work towards solutions within their own living environments. School, so these all may be things that your student has experienced outside of our MICC world here. Families and caregivers, you're probably experiencing and working on some of these things at home and also within communities. Next slide. And then here's just an overview of classes offered freshman year and what those look like and what our kind of focus is. So freshmen, both first and second semester, have a 411 class, and that is taught by Jen. When we talk about hidden curriculum, it is all of the social norms that everybody just assumes are known. So the things that people may have a harder time picking up on, different things like that. Our MER classes, like I said, first semester, we really focus on basic friendship skills. What are your interests? What are your roommates' interests, your classmates' interests, and how can you use those common interests to build friendships? And then second semester, we move into dating and basic sexual health. Our freshman seminar classes, first semester, we're working on stress management skills. And then second semester, we really work into disability awareness, learning more about individual diagnoses and working towards finding more knowledge on what your individual students' needs are to be successful moving forward. Social strategies is all about team building, both semesters freshman year. And Circle, like I said before, is really working on interpersonal living dynamics within each individual apartment. Really immersive. That class takes place in each individual apartment. Each individual apartment comes up with what they believe are going to be their best solutions for their specific apartment, which is really fun. Next slide. Thank you. Juniors, so second year classes. Again, we continue to work with MER. Like I said earlier, maintaining and strengthening friendships is really the focus of first semester. And now second semester, we really work towards healthy relationships, what that looks like, how to grow healthy relationships. And they can be intimate relationships, they could be friendships, they can be family relationships. We focus on all of those dynamics. Junior seminar, first semester, again, was just growing on stress management and self-awareness. And second semester, junior year, we really are going to start focusing on advocacy, self-advocacy, advocacy for others, what that looks like, and healthy ways to advocate for needs and wants. Food with Friends is a really fun class that our juniors get to take and are offered. It's all about navigating social situations, what that looks like. There are some weeks where the theme of the week is a potluck. So everybody cooks in their apartment and brings it to their shared classroom time, which is really fun. And then again, Circle. We have Circle all 3 years with different levels of support each year. Next slide, thank you. And then senior year, so third year classes, we continue to have a senior seminar class first semester. Again, growing on stress management, self-management, and awareness. And community access is a really fun class as well. So navigating the community for personal needs. I know last semester students were out to different grocery stores in the area. They were out to different shops in the area to figure out what they liked. Did they like Target? Did they like Walmart? Did they like a different area depending on which price point? Also really important community places to access, like the different banks, the library, the post office, all things that are going to be really important to individual student success after graduation. And then coming up this second semester here, we have our senior capstone. And that's going to look at revisiting all of the skills that we've worked on and built first year, second year, and really coming up with an individualized, basically a game plan moving forward for our seniors and how they can continue to practice their social emotional skills after graduation. What that looks like, what is most important to them, setting healthy boundaries, setting good time management so they're able to have self-care and those types of things. Another fun class for our seniors coming up is senior transition. And that is taught by our transition coordinator, Jenna. And she works through the ins and outs of the community program, but also ins and outs from kind of all pods. She brings in information from all of our pods to really work with that senior group to make sure that they are set up best for success moving forward. And our circle classes, again, we continue to do those senior year. Our second semester senior year, we do meet once every other week in preparation for those seniors moving kind of out of our MICC college program after graduation. So they have time to practice in between holding those circle conversations or having those conversations independently. Independent living, you're up.
All right, thank you, Allie. So the Independent Living Pod consists of myself, Natalie Finch, and Chris Coles. So for finances, budgeting and banking is a class that's offered only freshman year. Personal finance is the class that's offered junior and senior year. So the goals of these classes mainly develop awareness of the value of money, as well as independent skills that are needed to maintain a personal bank account. We want to decrease the students' monetary vulnerability, whether that's through educating them about fraud, about identity theft, ways to keep themselves safe, learn how to define wants versus needs. So that's something that we revisit year after year, and sort of going over, deciding, is this something that you want, or is this something that you actually need? How to build a savings, learn what credit is and how to effectively use it. And then the capstone, which is offered senior year, develops personal financial plan or budget for after graduation. So this includes identifying personal income, expenses, as well as developing financial goals.
Hi everyone again, my name is Natalie Finch, as Jennifer just previously stated. This slide is all about our transportation classes that we offer here. So we do offer a transportation class for our freshman and our junior year. For our seniors, we do offer transportation support, though it is not a class that we do offer. So in these courses, our students and our participants learn how to utilize the public transportation system. We also really focus on helping them gain independence and navigating their local community, whatever that looks like for them. We do have a lot of shops and different establishments in our nearby area that our students love to go to and to explore on their own. We also encourage our student to gain greater understanding of their travel wants and needs and how those two differ from each other, and what the importance are of our needs, going to get our medications, going to the doctors, what is our wants, going to maybe Mall of America with some friends here. We also talk about proper safety precautions when out in the community, whether that would be bus regulations or behaviors in the community, how we're supposed to behave or what etiquette should look like when you're out in the community. And then we will also talk about different modes of transportation and what would be the most cost effective per student, or whatever their budget may be. And then what also is most time efficient, what is going to be for a specific situation, what's going to be the best for that specific student. For our junior year, second semester, we do have a capstone for our students, which I'm very excited about. We are planning and compiling all the knowledge that they have been taught the 2 years previous into a portfolio, and that's going to include places that they travel to in their junior year and also in their senior year and after graduation as well. So this is going to be a bunch of routes that they've already mastered, they feel confident in, so that when they do go off on their own and independently travel, they're going to have resources for them. They don't feel like they're going out blind. And we do have our transportation support that I talked about earlier. This is only offered to our seniors because this again is enforcing the prompt fade model, where if our seniors in an event need further supports in their independent travel, we're able to offer those to them depending on what the student needs, but it is no longer offered as a class. And I will pass it off to Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris. I will be teaching RentWise. So RentWise is a course that is offered only to seniors. In this course, we practice the development of skills and knowledge necessary to meet their housing needs. We also they will receive hands-on experience in looking for their future housing. Students will also understand their rights as a renter. And lastly, students in this course will identify responsibilities in communicating with property managers, making rent payments on time, and maintaining clean residence. I'll pass it on to Healthy Living.
Hi, my name is Jacob Archbold, as I mentioned before, and the Healthy Living Pod consists of Franny, Jake, and Lauren. Katie, next slide. Holistic Health is one of our primary courses that we teach in the Healthy Living Pod, and it's offered to our junior and senior year classes. Our holistic class is based on the 7 dimensions of health wheel that's shown on the right, which is emotional, social, physical, environmental, occupational, financial, and spiritual. So one of the primary things we're doing with this class is kind of a review of everything that they've been learning over the years, and just providing just a really good foundation for what our Healthy Living Pod's all about. Each of our lessons will focus on one or more of the 7 dimensions of health. And our goal in this class is to provide tools to put healthy habits into practice. I will pass it to Franny. Lauren.
Thanks, Jake. So Exercise for Life is offered all 3 years at MICC. Overall, this course helps students understand the importance of exercise and maintaining a healthy life. Students learn skills necessary to develop and meet goals for an exercise routine that fits within their lifestyle, their abilities, and their desires. Students explore a wide variety of exercise activities at the YMCA, in their apartments, and even in the community. Some of the favorite activities amongst students are swimming, weightlifting, and yoga. Next slide, please.
Hey, I'm Franny, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm going to touch on our apartment classes a little bit. So within our apartment classes, both independent living and healthy living instructors teach them. So there's a little bit of an overlap between our 2 pods. Our apartment classes are really person-centered. We have a curriculum that we follow, of course, but we really adjust it based off of the experiences that all of the roommates bring into each individual apartment. Our apartment classes are also really based on a hands-on and experiential learning format. We're in their apartments, cooking with them, cleaning with them. So it's really an experiential learning format there. So in the freshman year, we have about 10 hours of apartment classes each week. We dig into a lot of topics, including cooking, cleaning, personal care, which includes laundry, personal safety in the home, menu planning, and grocery shopping. And you can see all of those courses that we touch on within our apartment class listed there under the little freshman category. By junior year, we have about 5 hours of classes each week, which includes apartment classes and then grocery shopping. So junior year, we really focus on cooking, cleaning, menu planning, and grocery shopping. The goal by junior year is that students are more independent with their personal care needs, which includes laundry and daily grooming and hygiene. By second semester of junior year, grocery shopping transitions from a class to a grocery shopping shuttle service, and that sort of helps students transition into senior year when they only have a grocery shopping shuttle instead of a class. By senior year, instructors are only in the apartments about 2 hours a week. These apartment classes are much less intensive, but we are still there to support the students with whatever they need. These classes are really meant to hone in on the skills that I mentioned before to help the students prepare for independence. By second semester of senior year, instructors are only in the apartments about 1 hour a week, and they start to perform health and safety checks. This is to help the students prepare for independence, whether they decide to go to the community program or not. Next slide, please. So just to dig or to go a little bit more in depth into the different components of our apartment classes, we touch on apartment cooking, which helps students develop their cooking and kitchen safety skills. We touch on apartment cleaning, which helps students learn how to maintain their space through managing clutter and using proper cleaning techniques. We talk about menu planning, which is designed to help students establish a meal plan strategy and prepare them for a week of healthy eating. We go grocery shopping, and the grocery shopping class is designed to teach students how to grocery shop for their daily cooking and eating needs. Personal care, we focus on doing laundry and daily grooming and hygiene tasks. And then personal safety in the home as well, where where students learn how to respond to emergencies and keep themselves safe in their home. I'll pass it on to Erin to touch a little bit more on the prompt fading.
Thank you, Franny. Earlier, I had this diagram up before when we talked about our curriculum modeling, but I think it was important after watching the presentation that the team was putting together. I hope some of that demonstrated when they're explaining their classes how we use prompt fading here to guide not only our course catalog, but the ways that we teach. Social Emotional brought up a great point that while we do circle over all 3 years within the program, we really look at that senior year where even our durations are less. So freshmen, we're in there every single week. By the time seniors are graduating, that's only happening every other week. So we try to use this prompt fading model to decrease not only the staff presence, but also keep the prompting and let students grab more of those pieces of independence. Healthy Living or ILS brought it up fantastic when it came to transportation, that we work a lot with our freshmen on starting in those basic skills, but by the time our students reach senior year, they only receive support with transportation if it's something that they're still needed. So those that are able to that are able to access transportation and are able to get to their places that employment, but we also have that support in place for students if they need some additional support in navigating the community. And with Healthy Living and ILS in the apartments, Franny hit on it, where we have 10 hours with our freshmen, and we go down to about 4 hours with our juniors and then decrease to seniors. So our goal is really for students to move through our model here, so they're able to start with the highest level of support so we can assess, we can get things in place, help show them some of those new independent skills, and then have them pick up the torch and have them keep on with it and us have less of a presence. So while we do gradually decrease not only the need for prompting in the moment, but decrease some of our class time, we really believe that supports our students and sets them up well for independence, knowing that staff are always here if there's extra support that's needed to get them to the highest level that they would like to reach.
There we go. Thank you all so much for sharing a great presentation. We'll now open it up for questions. So if you would like to unmute yourself and ask a question that way, you are welcome to. Otherwise, you can put your question in the chat and I will read it out loud for the team. The question could be for a particular individual on the team or the entire team. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
I have a question. So these are required classes that we're starting our junior year, right? Is that what they are?
So your question, Dylan, was, are these the required classes for junior year?
Yeah.
All right. Who would like to take that question? Aaron?
I'll take it. Yeah, Dylan. So this presentation isn't all inclusive of all the classes that you will be enrolled in, but it is a good, accurate picture of what you should expect in your junior year. And
This is after summer, right?
Say that again.
This is after summer.
Yep. So after summer, this is when you'd be starting your junior year.
Okay.
One question for you, Aaron. Are there any more overall program updates or exciting things coming down the line that would be good for people to know regarding the college program?
Absolutely. So it's been shared in other presentations, but we're really excited about our shift to a different space for a lot of our classes. We do a lot of teaching within apartments, and we really try to make sure to introduce new cooking utensils. And we had some great demonstrations that took place last semester. We're looking at new cooking demonstrations specifically targeted at our freshmen to keep building up those skills. We're very excited with the shift to in Woodlake into some new classrooms, because any new space opens up new possibilities, whether that is for healthy living and different sort of exercises and being able to use that space differently and look at new equipment to be able to use within it. Or the same with instruction with social emotional and ILS is trying to look at those spaces and how we can use them in a good way and how we can modify some of the lessons or some of the things that we have planned to incorporate a space that, you know, could offer some more possibilities than some of the past spaces that we've used.
Another question, and maybe each of your pods could touch on this, but what are some of the ways that you've creatively adapted your classes or your curriculum to be COVID safe? So what are some of the unique new things that we've introduced to be able to continue on with our coursework? Maybe we'll start with healthy living.
Yeah, I can take that, Katie. So some of the things we're doing in the classroom specifically, we're obviously really strict on our mask guidelines, that students aren't able to enter without a mask. We're also adapting some of our lessons to include less paper passing, so that things will be available to see on the projector versus paper is another form of things to maybe pass the virus along, would be that paper stuff. A lot of our activities, specifically Exercise for Life. Unfortunately, we're not able to go to the YMCA, which is a big thing that we've been doing in the past, but our lessons have been reflecting maybe exercise videos or things outdoors where we can socially distance 6 feet apart and things like that. But primarily just making sure we're socially distanced if we're doing anything together. If anybody else on a Healthy Living pod want to jump in too, if I missed anything.
You would talk about how we're doing groceries, Franny?
Yeah, I can touch on groceries. So yeah, it was a bit of a challenge in between Thanksgiving and Christmas break as we tried to avoid getting into the van with large groups of people to drive to the grocery store. So we ended up utilizing Instacart. And the students kind of got a kick out of their groceries being delivered right to their doorstep. So that was fun. At the beginning of the semester here, we started our own MICC Instacart, or CC's Groceries, as we're calling it. And we have a mini cub set up upstairs in the staff lounge. And so when students arrive on campus, they'll receive an order form that they'll fill out with what groceries they want. And then a staff member will go sort of pack those groceries for them in our mini cub upstairs and then deliver them to their doorstep. So it's been fun to show students different options as opposed to just going to Cub on a weekly basis. I think they've really enjoyed it too.
All right, anyone from social and emotional or independent living skills pod want to answer that as well?
Hey, yeah, I can jump in. Specifically for transportation, I know communication has gone out to parents about this, but with our transportation class, there have been pretty strict rules and regulations going onto the bus and making sure we're social distancing as we're entering onto the bus, and very, very strict mask policy. You aren't allowed to enter if you don't have a mask on, and they do ask to make sure you're keeping your hands sanitized, and just really making sure that our students are prepared to get on that bus, and to know how far apart you need to be, and making sure that we're just following all the regulations that Metro Transit has put in place. They also have limited the amount of people on each bus depending on the measurement of the bus. They have two different sizes, so they are limiting it to 10 to 15 people. So we are definitely making sure that we're being cautious of touching surfaces, and they've been doing a great job of sanitizing those surfaces as well.
Great.
On the social emotional side of things, as well as everything else everybody has just stated, but when it comes to kind of adapting our lessons to make them more COVID friendly, I guess you could say, is I know Jen and I are both really into big collaboration from all of our students in our classes. And so not having people come up and everybody draw on the whiteboard at the same time or put their answers and brainstorm on the whiteboard was a big challenge. And thankfully, Chrissy at the beginning of the semester introduced to me a Google app called Jamboard, and that has been a really big success in a lot of my classes. So each student's on their own personal device, whether it's an iPad or a laptop, at their specified table in the classroom, socially distanced, but we're still able to have that collaboration time, and everybody's able to get in and have their answers heard and seen. And it's been a really, really good tool within our classrooms.
Awesome. We had a question come through the chat. As part of your work, do you assist the student in improving their writing ability, especially in life skills situations?
Yeah, I'll hop on that a little bit, but I have a couple class examples that if any of my staff might jump in and clarify. But when it comes to any sort of skill improvement, and that's just across the board what it is, we like to partner with all the other departments on campus. So writing is a good one where if within the classroom there was something was identified that there needed to be improvement or a support in place, specifically with something like writing, we would let the advisors know and let them know that there's a support that could get put in place there. And then we have partnerships with places like the Pacer Center, or we can collaborate as a team, and we look at adaptations, things that we can put in place to help support the students. So that's kind of the one facet of it. But then, in terms of writing for an independent life, it's mixed in. So Natalie in ILS teaches just writing checks, talking about the standards that they need to be written so they can be deposited in an ATM or some of those kind of elements. Chris is going to help them with rental applications in RentWise and what that looks like. And Jennifer also has taught in the past, I know, aspects about fraud and how to protect yourself and what you put on documents. And so while I don't have a course that kind of targets in on that, those are a couple of approaches that we take. And then with writing, a big one that happens is actually a backup from our partnership with the electives team and the activities. And they specifically target classes like creative writing. That's the one I have off the top of my head, but I know there's been different writing courses. We had a partnership last semester. So those interested in developing more of those either creative writing, writing comprehension, grammar, stuff like that. We have courses that they support in offering that can be individual for the student and their interests.
Great. The team has talked a lot about our prompt fading model throughout the presentation and how that's incorporated into our coursework throughout a student's 3 years at MICC. How is progress assessed and recorded? And how is that measured throughout our program? And that might be a question for Chrissy or anyone from the team.
Absolutely. I'd love to pass that one to Chrissy. She takes the lead on all of that. While my instructors do some of the in-person assessments, Chrissy's the one that really looks at the data and more of the holistic aspect of how that student is being assessed and doing. Chrissy?
Absolutely. So all of our skills have a competency attached to them. And we have 31 different competencies. So with our freshmen, you guys will be getting your report to you this coming week. And then as parents, you'll be getting them the week after, or as soon as your students haven't had a chance to see them. And so each area has a specific skill related to it. So if we're looking at laundry, for example, laundry is one of our competencies. And then for each one of those, there's a goal that goes underneath that. And each goal has an objective to meet that goal. So we have the scaffold model tied into all of our objectives so that they're making sure that we're meeting each one of those skills to ensure that all of the students understand it. It's graded on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being that introductory level, 5 being that mastery or independence level. And so each semester they are graded on all of those components. And throughout the semester, staff are looking at those components to see if they're meeting those objectives and meeting those goals. And then we are reassessing them and readdressing them as the students needing them. So if we need to go back down that spiral to readdress some of those skills, we will, or we can just keep moving on up.
Excellent. Does anyone have a question that they would like to say aloud and unmute their microphones? You're welcome to do so if you have a question for the team.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say that I'm Matthew Flaherty's mom, and I just want to say that I'm super impressed with the progress that he's made. So I just want to say thanks to all of you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? Wonderful. I've got a few more prepared here. What would you say would be some things that for students when they go home over the summer, ways that they could maintain their skills or continuing to practice them in their home setting so that when they come back to campus the following year, they can continue to build on those skills. So I'll open that up to anyone that would like to answer that.
I will lead us out, and then if other people have other things, please feel free to chime in, especially from a social emotional angle, especially in the new virtual world that we have. But you know, we look at that as in our instruction. If we remove the immersive part, the experiential aspects can still be there. So we very much so recommend that families work with their students. Typically, we send challenges home or other guidance or leave access to classrooms. And we really encourage families to have the students show their skills. I mean, they are so proud and there's such an amount of pride in what they're taught and what they show us. And we want you guys to experience that too. So put a schedule in place, similar as we do, that has when they're cooking, where they're cleaning. Set some of those schedules in place. Involve them in the grocery shopping process. Involve them in Instacart. The more that you can involve them in the dynamics of your independent life and looking at those core areas of grocery shopping, cleaning, the more that you can do, the more you're going to see from your student, the more they're going to grow when those skills are kept in place. You know, cooking is a great one. Just get involved with cooking. We can send students home and they have access to their same recipes over the summer. You know, encourage them to do their own laundry, encourage them to put those things, structure it in, because that'll just benefit them when they come back to campus. Well, I'd love to hear from the rest of the team, other things that we've done, or we might be doing this summer.
Yeah, Aaron, I can add to that with, oh, sorry, Allie. With the cooking piece, each student is provided a portfolio at the beginning of the semester that is definitely, we're trying to build through with our cooking recipes throughout the year. And we just encourage students to bring that home for the summer and practice those cooking skills, specifically the recipes that they've chosen, and then adding new ones too. If there's something that you tried cooking in the summer or over the break, add it to your portfolio so you can try it and impress the instructors. That's what I would say.
We were both just so eager to answer that question, Jake. So from the social emotional side of things, Aaron brought up a really big thing, really important thing about technology and the amount that we are all on technology right now. But my biggest piece of advice would be to encourage your student or your young adult to continue to reach out to those friends and those relationships that they've now created here on campus. I think a really big blessing of COVID so far, especially for our freshman group, is they've all gotten to know each other really well. They're spending a lot of time together here on campus as opposed to spending weekends at home or going off campus all the time. So that's been a really big benefit to that class. And I'm seeing mostly freshmen and their families here in this call. So that would be my biggest piece of advice for you all, is to continue to reach out and grow those friendships and those relationships. And not just with your peers here at MICC, but peers from home as well, from previous schools you've been to, or friends from childhood if they're there. That would be my biggest piece of advice as an SEL instructor, as well as maintaining some sort of schedule and structure throughout the summer. It not only helps with making time for building those relationships and growing those relationships, but also for executive functioning. Making sure that you are remaining on some sort of a schedule would be a big piece of advice I have as well.
We have time for a few more questions. So for any of our attendees, if you'd like to type them in or unmute yourselves, we've got a few more minutes. I have one more prepared for the team. Can you explain a little bit more about how our instructors and all of you collaborate with our advisors, and what that relationship looks like, and just provide a little bit more information on that connection?
Again, I'll kick it out, but if anyone wants to hop in, definitely, Chrissy, with your longevity here, you understand the way that has grown over the years and changed and grown. From our connection with the advisors, we rely on them a lot for the family communication and bringing that pictures to families. And so our role working with them is very constant. It's passing the information to them so they understand how the student is in class, how their activities of daily living are going, the supports they're receiving, or the supports that we think could be put in place for them. And then also they keep us posted on some of those things that the student feels, I don't want to say more comfortable, but almost that come out in advisory authentically, that can be passed to us. If a student's comfort level in something is something they don't want to bring up in class, is a great one, or they don't want to say that something is uncomfortable in class, a lot of times we see that they're willing to let those advisors know, and they let us know to make sure that we implement them. Also just strategies. I mean, we are all on campus, we're all very active with the students, and so we get the information from the advisors that someone could be having a hard week, and so make sure not to quite push them as much, or there's some dynamics that are happening between the couple of students, and is there any way someone can go cook dinner for them together or something to kind of build that friendship or build that bond? So we connect a lot. We do a lot of documentation, a lot of cross collaboration to come up with the best plan moving forward for the student. So we can accurately put it in place across our program, and it can also be accurately tracked and reflected back to families through advisory.
So to clarify then, are families able to reach out specifically to instructors, or should communication go through advisors, or what's the best way if a family member has a question about their student in a particular class or pod curriculum area? How would they go about that?
Absolutely, thanks, Katie. So anything that's passed to advisors will make it back to us. They will pass it back to us, but if there are certain classes, certain initiatives, diets are a good one. Instructors our emails are available. We can always make them available to anyone who's wanting to get in touch or to get some more information on how things are going. Advisors really look at that kind of broad picture of the student and can pass that on. But if families ever want to know what's going on with the class or how their student's going, the other piece is we always recommend reading the newsletter, that we keep up to date on a lot of the pieces that we're putting in place that week. So we're absolutely available for emails and to answer questions and to give more information about the student, but we use the advisors to kind of compile that into status updates a little bit more.
We had a question come through the chat, I think will be best for Allie. So what are some recommendations or ways, specifically applications that our students like to be connected through? Is there a social media app that a lot of our students use, Instagram, Snapchat, or do they mostly text? What are some of those different communication methods for students staying connected?
Yeah, great question. And self-admittedly, I am not a huge social media user, so I've been learning a lot from our students this year, which is wonderful. But I do know that Facebook, Instagram have been really popular with students this year. Grant and Dylan, I'm gonna also pass it off to you two. What are you all keeping in contact on?
I'll go first. So,
Yes.
I mean, I use a lot of social media. I use Instagram, I use Snapchat, I use Facebook, I even text. But it seems like to me it's texting for my roommates and for other college students. It's just, in my opinion, texting is more serious than receiving messages on Snapchat or Instagram, because it's like with texting, it's like it's just directly towards the person. It's not like, oh, I gotta go on Instagram and message this person. Oh, I see this feed from another person. So in my opinion, I use texting in regards to my roommates and other college students on campus.
Okay, awesome, great advice. Dylan, how about you? Would you agree with that, or do you prefer, or do you notice students using a different method?
I try to use texting, but yeah, I try to use texting, but people don't really seem to pick up sometimes.
Okay, sounds good. So it sounds like texting is a great option with our freshman class right now specifically. A good old phone call every now and then is good too, I guess. Kind of whatever your student or young adult prefers best.
Well, we are just nearing our time here. I would like to hand it to Erin if you have any final thoughts or takeaways that you would like to share here before we sign off. Just one note for everyone, this presentation has been recorded, and specifically the slides from the presentation component will also be included, and we'll post that to the Winterfest website as well, so you can come back and view this on YouTube after the fact. But I'll hand it to Erin for final thoughts.
Thank you, Katie. I just wanted to say thank you for all the staff for being here today and working on this presentation. Thank you so much to any of the families that are coming or that came to this presentation today. We really appreciate it. Katie is going to make my contact information available, and I can help connect you with your students' apartment instructors. We're happy to stay on for a few more minutes too, if anyone wants to ask some specific questions they didn't want to in front of the group, or I'm happy to hang out a little bit if there's any more in-depth questions about curriculum or classes or things that I can answer for people. But I just want to thank everyone so much for coming to our portion of Winterfest today.
Awesome. Thanks so
Thank
much,
you.
and I'll stop the recording if anyone would like to stay on and chat.